I was there 7 days a week.
You went after school.
I went after school every day there, and I would be there several hours, and often I would be there for Mincha Ma'ariv, or we call it Mincha Ma'ariv.
But what did you go there for?
Well,
I mean, why didn't you go home?
well, because Zeta was teaching Harold and me after school. So that.
When did that start? Do you remember when that started? How?
I don't remember precisely when that started, but certainly by the time that I was in school, that was a regular part of my life.
So right after school you went there?
Not necessarily right after school. You might vulgar around, a little bit.
But you would arrive there.
I would arrive there.
That was your first stop.
Right.
And you would eat right away, or you would would go right into him?
We would go right into him, and he would be teaching. I remember. I don't remember where I learned Aleph, Beis, etc. I suspect it might have been from him. I don't remember that, but I certainly remember by the time I was in public school, and I believe that was in the first grade. I don't believe I ever went to kindergarten, or at least I don't have any recollection of going to kindergarten. But I do remember being in real school, so that would have had to have been in first grade, and I was probably 6 by that time. But by that time, at least in my recollection, I was fluent in reading Hebrew, and was now, into, beginning Chumash.
So how?
Which is what I first remember learning on an organized kind of
So you would learn with
basis.
him one-on-one?
Right.
And Harold would go before you? How did it work?
Yes.
So Harold, and how long was Harold's lesson? Or do you remember how long your lesson was?
I couldn't tell you precisely, but it was a extended lesson. It was probably an hour. I don't remember precisely, but it was a real lesson.
And it took place in Yiddish?
Yes.
It took place in Yiddish?
Yes. My recollection is that Zeta did not know a lot of English. That might not be accurate, but my recollection is that both he and Baba did not know a lot of English.
So it was all Yiddish?
Yes.
It was all in Yiddish?
Right.
And he taught you in that 1 hour, and do you remember anything about him as a teacher, since you're now a teacher?
Well, absolutely. First of all, I remember him being very patient. So it wasn't anything that was unpleasant or tense or that this was stressful. No, it was pleasant. In fact, I remember very often Zeta making jokes or kind of playing tricks, kind of memory tricks. For example, one that I remember very vividly is we used to use. Actually, these chumashim are still being used. There was a chumash, all 5 books. There was onkelos, kind of like an abbreviated paragraph there. Underneath was the Rashi. And there may have been some other commentators, but I remember Rashi because I learned Rashi, so that was most definitely there.
But occasionally, Bob, we have to check us just to make sure that we're okay.
And I remember, for example, Zeta would say, okay, just give me 1 or 2 words from any verse. So I would just kind of mish through the Chumash in whatever, and I would just put my finger on a place, and I would read him 2 words from the verse, and he would quote the entire verse. Not obviously said, Vayomer Elohim el Moshe, but some verse which had a verb or a particular subject or something like that. And he would quote the entire verse. And that wasn't the kintz, that wasn't the trick. the trick was he would also recite from memory the Rashi
Wow.
from that. So, I mean, I've actually talked with other people, most especially like Yaakov and Tzvi and others, who of course knew him when they were adults. I
Right.
was, 5 years old or something, so
Well,
my memories are distinct, but maybe not so accurate, who knows. But their memories are from when he came here already, and they were, since they're a little older than me, I mean, they were at a minimum teenagers, and they were also young adults when they knew him.
Oh, yeah.
And so their recollections of him were that Moshe Meir was a Gaon, that, his knowledge, not only of like Talmud and so forth, was encyclopedic, but he knew many, many other things, including math.
Yeah, I
He
know
was
that Yaakov
very
wanted.
strong in math.
Where
and-
did he learn math?